Welcome back to CryptosRus. I am George. We're all George. So welcome back to another market open stream. Market is about to open green, but what can we look forward to this week? And also, there is something happening in the near future for Bitcoin. Should we brace ourselves for it? Let's talk about that as well. All right, let's do this. Welcome, 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 guys. The market bell, there you go, has just rung. If you look at the U.S. market, it's not too shabby today. I mean, it's about time. Last week, not so good. Kind of mixed markets, but mostly red. But today, let's see if the U.S. market can cling on some green and close the day with green. But there's been a lot of FUD swirling around, right? All over the place, with China being weak, to inflation maybe coming back up, and we may get another rate hike. There's just a lot of FUD going on. But we may get some clarity this week, because we are going to get another CPI inflation reading this Friday. So this will tell us whether or not inflation is back on the rise. Last month, we ticked up from 3% to 3.3% or 3.2%. It was still below expectations. But this time around, are we going to go up again? Or are we going to come back down or hover? So this obviously is very important. Right now, the market has priced in that there will not be a rate hike this coming FOMC meeting, which is in about a week or so, week and a half. But what people are afraid of is what comes after that in November. It's like 50-50 right now, whether or not there will be another rate hike. So this inflation data and other data like jobless claims and retail sales, these will determine whether or not we get another rate hike in the future, which would not be good. Would not be good, considering we are definitely seeing softening in the economy and global economy suffering, and how the DXY is going up, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now. It's getting a little fuddish again. September traditionally is a very bad month for S&P 500. So all these things combined made last week a little bit scary. Also, last week was Labor Day weekend. So, you know, not everyone was around. A lot of people were traveling. But now we're back to the grind. So we'll see what happens. I think Wednesday CPI inflation reading will be a big deal. If we come in below expectations, great. For the rest of this week, we may rally a little bit. But if not, if it comes in below expectations, meaning that we see inflation start going back up in a big way, that would be very, very bad. So something to pay attention to. Now, as for Bitcoin, there is something else that a lot of people are looking at, and that is Death Cross. Okay, Death Cross is a very famous, I guess, signal, utilizing the 50 and 200 moving average on a daily scale. And whenever they cross over each other, you're either forming a golden cross or a death cross. And it sounds exactly like how it sounds. Death cross is not good, right? And golden cross sounds great. So death cross is when the 50 crosses below the 200, and the golden is opposite, when the 50 crosses above the 200. And we're right at that point. Like, we're right there. If Bitcoin slides a little bit lower to about 52.2, 52.3, then we have officially formed a death cross. I believe the lines are kind of like touching right now, but hasn't happened yet. So a lot of people are looking at this and wondering if this is very bad, right? The last time we went through a death cross situation, Bitcoin was coming down. Let me actually show you guys. So we'll go on a daily scale. Okay, so you could see we're like right there. Last time Bitcoin formed a death cross was when it was at 48,500. And then it formed a death cross, and Bitcoin went down, and did not get a golden cross until it broke above 19,800, right? So obviously, this would be no good if we form a death cross and continue downwards. It's a possibility. However, the other possibility is that this actually shows how exhausted the market is and Bitcoin is about to turn. The thing is, with these moving indicators, moving averages, they're what's considered lagging indicators. Okay, so they're averaging out all the previous movement from before. So there are situations where you form a death cross and then you start rallying upwards. Okay, I'll show you this, like right here. Right, when Bitcoin was coming down from 64,000, it formed a death cross right around 42,000. But you could see clearly shortly afterwards, it started coming back up and going higher, right? So that's a situation where a death cross was actually a good thing. And there's been many times if you go backwards, you'll see the same thing happen. When Bitcoin crashed to 3,800 back in March, right? You could see, oh no, it formed a death cross right here. But look at Bitcoin's price. It kept going and going and going and going. And that was a very, very, very short-lived death cross situation. And we just turned bullish, right? But at this point in time, I still remember, it wasn't too long ago, there were many people at that time saying, oh no, Bitcoin formed a death cross. We will be going down to 1,000, right? But it didn't, and Bitcoin kept going, right? So there's situations where if you are coming off from a tremendous fall, a death cross actually signals the end is near, that the bottom is near, that Bitcoin is ready to flip upwards. But if you're coming off from a very, let's say, parabolic run, then a death cross could certainly mean that we're going lower, right? So I'm interpreting this. First of all, we haven't officially formed it yet. But if we do, I'm going to take it that this is the bottom point, that Bitcoin has finally fallen or consolidated enough so that it's ready to move higher. And the reason why I'm going with that route rather than we're going to see Bitcoin crash down to like 12,000 or 10,000 that some people are still talking about is because the fundamentals haven't changed. The fundamentals of Bitcoin has never, ever been stronger, right? If there's a lot of indication of miners selling or addresses falling off or the number of holders now selling, well, then that tells you then this time maybe it's different. But when all of those things still point in the reverse, meaning that they're getting stronger and more people are accumulating, well, then it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to think that Bitcoin's going to fall down and form a new low, right? So just want to pinpoint that death cross does not always mean that bad things are coming. In fact, a lot of times when you get death cross, that's when Bitcoin starts flipping upwards. All right. So just want to highlight that. Also, here's something else that compares what we're going through right now with 2019. Now, 2019, coming off from bottom, we went on a tremendous run from 3,100 all the way to 14,000 within a matter of months. But then, unfortunately, Bitcoin crashed down again. You could see 1, 2, 3. That 3 mark went down because that was the pandemic crash, right? The pandemic crash brought everything lower. So, unfortunately, it didn't make a double bottom. But this time around, right, it does look like, hey, we may be coming down. We may be making a double bottom before going upwards. But again, unless the fundamentals change, unless there's something on a global scale or something disastrous happens, I don't see us going back down to 15 or forming a new low. I see that we go down a little bit, which we have, and then we're going upwards, right? So that number 3 was the one time in Bitcoin's chart where it got screwy because that was the forced mandate by all governments around the world to shut down and go home, and unemployment skyrocketed to like 15% at that point. And honestly, it was probably higher because everyone got sent home. But that was the only time in Bitcoin's history where you saw that we had kind of like a retracement coming off from a bottom point, right? And it kind of retraced down. But even then, it did not form a new low. It was still higher than the previous low, right? But that number 3 mark really did kind of like skew things. If you look at it on a grand scale, on an overall chart, you just never saw that before. Anyways, so yeah, so there's that. But of course, this is what we're really looking forward to, right? I mean, if you wanna chart, you zoom out, you just look at it. This is what we have to look forward to if we're following this channel, which we have been, going all the way back to 2017. And yeah, I lived through those days as well, and it was very scary back then too. But if we're using the same bottom and upper channel, okay, or trend lines, I should say, within this channel, well, that means, hey, we're about to form that double bottom, right? And we're about to rock and roll all the way up to a new all-time high, right, after the halving event, and as we move closer and closer to 2024 and 2025, right? The fundamentals have not changed, not one bit. In fact, fundamentals have gotten stronger for some reason, okay? Actually, I wanted to show you this first. For some reason, we had a crazy 700,000 new address day for Bitcoin. Just look at this. You know, normally you get a lot of, new addresses, but man, we just had one where we added over 700,000 new addresses. So this is part of the fundamentals, okay? It's just awesome. Keeps on going up. And everything I've showed that measures that number of addresses holding not 0 Bitcoin, at least something, 0.1 Bitcoin, all-time high, 1 Bitcoin, all-time high, 10 Bitcoin, all-time high, right? So that's why I say fundamentals have never been better, because it's true. It's true. And according to Cathie Wood, she believes that Bitcoin and AI are about to see explosive growth. And she's using this adoption growth curve. And she believes both Bitcoin and AI are right in, it's not marked, but right around the early majority, okay? And that is when you could see in the growth curve, kind of like when it starts really turning upwards, right? And start going up parabolically, right? And I agree. Even though Bitcoin has been around since 2009, most of the innovation adoption did not happen until like maybe 3 years ago. I would say maybe arguably around 2021. That's when things really started moving. Prior to that, we really did not have much innovation happening in the space, in the entire space, or Bitcoin, in fact, right? But now we're seeing so much being done. You now have DeFi and stablecoins and ordinals on top of the Bitcoin chain. And when it comes to the rest of crypto, yeah, DeFi is robust. It's thriving. These things didn't exist even 3 years ago, right? So it is still very, very early. Just like AI is. It's still very, as useful as AI is, it's still very early, just like Bitcoin. All right, now outside of these things, I did see this, which is no good. Vitalik's X account got hacked, and they put up some fake NFT thing, and unfortunately, it fooled a lot of people, and about 700,000 drained, right? So obviously no good. But just keep in mind, no matter who it is, okay, it could be Vitalik, it could be whoever, CZ, or even myself, right? When you see something very suspicious, don't fall for it. And I hear about this in Discord chats all the time. People's Discord gets hacked, and then people just blindly follow these hackers in terms of whatever they say, right? Always verify first. If something seems off, verify first before just jumping in blindly, right? So it's good that this is still under 1 million. But, a lot of people follow Vitalik. So that's good and bad, right? All right. I think that's pretty much it. I saw this Avalanche. They're testing some new upgrade that can give them a theoretical peak of 143,000 transactions per second. This all sounds good and well, and a lot of new chains also hype up they're the fastest in the world. It doesn't really matter when there's not enough data right now or transactions to even come close to this. But it's good to see that they're trying to prepare for the future. Right now, Avalanche's theoretical output is around 5,000 transactions per second, which is very, very good. Way higher than even Solana, and higher than Binance Smart Chain, and higher than ETH, of course. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's see. Today's looking good so far. Let's see. Coinbase is down slightly. Tesla up enormously big. Almost 6% today. Wow. So Tesla's coming. Tesla always has these volatile periods where it goes up and down quite a lot. HUD-8 has not moved. Mara is still struggling. Someone said something about they're offering more shares or something like that, but that they have dropped tremendously from their 12 mark down to 10. That's no good. And Coinbase is still about even. Let's see, yeah. But today is a good Tesla day. Not sure why, but it is. All right, let's do some Q&A. Whew. All right, let's see if I missed anything here. Christopher Leonard, save us, George. That's what I'm trying to do. I tweeted out the other day. You could lead a horse to the river, but you can't force him to drink, right? That's really true. You can. That's what I'm doing. I'm leading you guys. I'm leading you guys to the river, to the promised land, right? But I can't force you to drink. You have to truly understand and believe and take action. I'm not going to name names. Space Vibe says someone will bet the farm on a Death Cross. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Let's see. Jose says, this is why George says to keep 25 to 35% in cash. I should have listened. Jose, it's something I've learned over the years. You just have to force yourself to have cash. Sometimes having cash is very, very difficult. That sounds stupid, but it is. Especially when you're seeing everything rally up and you're like, oh, man, I got to put more money in. I got to put everything in, right? I don't want to miss this rally. But, you know, a lot of those rallies are short-lived. They're temporary. And, you know, things come back down, right? And then you regret not having more money to buy in. You got to keep that money on the side to be able to DCA long-term or take advantage of dips. Papa Bear Studio. I was forced to sell some Bitcoin to pay back some home emergencies. Sorry to hear that. Could you please come up with some FUD to keep it down while I buy back? I think there's plenty of FUD out there. No more needed. I'm waiting for the 50% off sale. Well, let's hope we don't see that day. Solana dumping this Wednesday. I could pick up real cheap. Is Solana? I did notice Solana getting a little weaker. I didn't see any real FUD around them. Yeah, they're down about 28% for the month, which is a lot more than all its peers. 9% for the last 7 days. Not sure what's going on with Solana. I mean, everything's selling off a little bit, but not sure why they sold off more than others. XRP having a bad day today, too. Morrow converted 417 million in their convertible debt due in 2026 for 1% of 26.2 million shares. Horrible move by all regards. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Why do they need to do that right now? I don't know. So they basically issued, did they converted in their 1%? Yeah, so I'll have to, yeah, Crypto Fever, I don't quite understand. It seems like if they bought or they issued more shares, that's probably why, right? If they bought the shares, it doesn't make sense. I think they probably sold shares. I'll have to look in tomorrow, but obviously the market does not like it, whatever they're doing, because they're selling off like crazy. Let's see. FTX selling. FTX could be selling hundreds of millions of SOL. You know, I did remember covering that story. There was like 10 million worth of SOL being moved, linked to FTX. That makes sense. But I don't know if $10 million worth of SOL is going to cause it to go down 30% in a month. I guess in a very weak market, and if they dumped it on the open market, I guess that could be a thing. That makes sense, actually. But, you know, 10 million for a $7 billion market cap coin should hardly move it at all. Maybe they're selling a lot more. Just bought a lot of XRP. Should I have waited? You know, you really can't second guess yourself. If you bought it, great. Just wait for your next DCA time. That's it. Don't try to second guess yourself. You'll drive yourself crazy. Rich Q, I hold one BTC for every future ex-wife. Where should I keep our BTC? Binance or MetaMask? You definitely should keep it out of the two, MetaMask. You definitely want to keep it somewhere where you have full control over it. FTX has over 600 million sold, but much of it is locked up. Yeah, I remember that. It's locked up for like 10 years or something. But recently there was I think Arkham found like 10 million worth of SOL was moved. But they hold a lot, but all of it's like locked up. And I don't know when the unlock is. That'd be interesting to note. Let's see. I just covered that news recently. Was it this? This is talking about a 685 million, but most of that is locked up. There was something recently. Anyways, but I guess this explains it. The Solana sell-off is mostly due to FTX fears, and that's probably not going to go away anytime soon. Solomon, I appreciate that. You know, I think the rest of the episodes will be a lot more entertaining. Episode 1 was just like a pilot intro, show. So a lot of people said it was boring and this and that. But episode 2 should be a lot more entertaining. When the projects are actually doing the challenges and you see how tough some of them are, yeah, I think they did a really good job. They probably did better. No, if I was in their shoes, they would have done better than me. Like they did some really crazy things on the fly. Oh, I forgot to change my camera view. There we go. They cannot sell locked sold tokens until it unlocks. I'll be buying a lot of Solana soon. I think it has huge potential, especially when ETH fees will be horrendous again. That happens every single cycle. ETH fees gets crazy because of all the volume that's happening on chain. That's not, yeah, you're right. That's not going to change until they fully implement sharding. Well, Tesla is still doing great. Overall market still doing pretty good today. Pretty good. CPI on Wednesday. This is a huge event this week. We will see if inflation is indeed going back up, which would not be good. That's not what we want. Are the challenges crypto related? Yes. Yes. I think all of them are except one, but it's still relevant. After Ape token unlocks of roughly 11%, how low do you anticipate Ape price to go? I can't tell you. I don't have a crystal ball to predict how low it's going to go. Would you wait for Powell, not Paul, Powell and SBF to talk and then consider buying or buy now? You can't guess, okay? You can't. And sometimes the market will throw you a curveball too. So bottom line is you wanted this DCA. Stop trying to guess. Set a schedule like every Friday or every 2 weeks or every month. Set a schedule and stay with it and don't deviate. As they like to say, never cheat. Jordan Peterson. Yeah. He gets like when he talks about his carnivore diet, he gets so serious about it. He's like, I never cheat. I eat steak, salt, water. That's it. I never deviate. I never cheat. Like when he was explaining it, it's like so hardcore. Almost like he was going to cry. But yeah, that's kind of the same way with DCA. Word expectation for CPI for Wednesday. I haven't seen anything about it. I think someone said it may go up to 3.6%. I'm hoping that is wrong. We're at 3.2. So I don't know what the expectations, the guesses are right now. Tomorrow or tonight, I'm sure I'll find something. I click on play on Distro TV for the episode. You have to search for the next crypto gem. You can't just go into Distro TV. And I also post on my channel on Saturday night, so I know a lot of you guys are not tech savvy, which is strange because you're into Bitcoin and crypto. So I don't know how you can not be tech savvy, but you go to distro.tv and search for the episode, or you just simply go to my page and search for it. Jordan's diet is because of his daughter. She's the one that has to eat that way because of autoimmune disease. Yeah, he's talked about that. He also talks about how he has some and it has helped him. I saw something before where he said he would just eat meat and broccoli, right? You got it. I just figured there's nothing wrong with eating some veggies. But now he has made it even more hardcore. It's like just steak and salt and water every single meal all the time. I mean, I don't know. That's extreme. Why is Litecoin Polygon going down. Litecoin, because it's not as good as Bitcoin, and Polygon, I have no idea. I think they lost a lot of traction because of all the L2s dominating. Polygon should be a lot higher. They still have all the brands, all the big brands on top Polygon. So I'm still rooting for them. But I've heard there are some delays with their new ZK Sync chain, or at least, yeah, I think there's been some delays over it or something. So, yeah. How do you get macronutrients if you don't eat fruit and veggies? I think what you're supposed to do is eat vitamins. I think you're supposed to supplement. I know when I did carnivore, and I did a strict carnivore for 30 days, it was tough. It was really tough. Like, I can't stand eating nothing but meat because it's so oily. I want to mix in some veggies, right? And plus my digestion was a complete wreck. I figure if you do it long enough, your digestive system will get used to it, but it just wasn't, it was not something I wanted to continue for more than 30 days. It was too much. Keto is much easier than carnivore. And I think keto is healthier too because you get to eat some veggies. But yeah. Would the Fed rate hike this month be event for Death Cross? You know, yeah, if we had a rate hike this month, it would not be good. It would not be good. Because right now, it's 90-something% chance that we're not going to get one. If we do form a death cross, how far do you think retracement will be? Well, I covered this at the beginning. Some death crosses we recover up really fast because we have found a bottom. Some, like this, is very extended, but this is because we're coming off from top. Normally, when you have a very extended retracement due to a death cross, it's because we're coming off from a parabolic run. But now, in other cases, like this, for example, right, it actually signaled shortly the bottom, and we start recovering upwards, right? And same thing back here and so forth. So, you know, I don't really, if we're looking at levels, I mean, the last point right here, right, you could see the top point right here is about 25,000, right bottom here is 25,000. We're about 600 and something away, you know. Can we retrace back down to 25,000, which isn't too far off from here, and then we start going back up? Certainly a possibility. If we go below that, how far can we go? Can we go back down to, say, 21,000, or even down here to 20,000? Possibility, but I'd say a very low chance of that. I just think that death crosses are, I think more often than not, death crosses actually signal reversal because these are lagging indicators. The very fact that the 50 is now trying to cross below the 200 means that Bitcoin has been very flat downwards for a long, long time, right? And I've been concentrating on fundamentals, and they have not changed at all. In fact, they have gotten stronger. So, yeah. So I think this is going to be a nothing burger. Even if we cross it, we may go down slightly, but then we will recover back up. We certainly will not go back down to 15 or 12K or 10K, as some people may speculate, but I don't see that. It doesn't matter what you eat if you drink only water and exercise. Well, it matters. It still matters. if you're looking at a pure, weight loss, let's say, perspective, eating 2,000 calories in, I don't know, ice cream versus 2,000 calories in steak, they're both 2,000 calories. And if you keep it there, I guess technically you're not going to gain any weight, right? But from a macro perspective, eating 2,000 calories of ice cream every day versus eating some good steak or good veggies or something like that, there's a big, big difference. So from a weight loss perspective, you got to keep it within your goals, your caloric goals, I guess. But I think the quality of food and what you eat, it's still going to affect your mood, your digestive system, how you feel overall. It's going to make a big difference. What fool will sell you their Bitcoin below 20,000? Think about it. And Robert, is found. I know you're being sarcastic, or not sarcastic, but you mean it. Like who's going to be selling below 20,000? But a lot of people do. A lot of people can't stand the volatility, right? Most of you guys watching has been around at least since 2022, right? Some of you guys have been around before that, but whenever there's any kind of catastrophic fall, there's always people selling, right? The people just can't. They're like, enough is enough. I got to go. All right, guys. To conclude, some people are talking about this nasty death cross that may happen, and it could happen. And could Bitcoin retrace a little bit? Yes. But let me remind you guys that death crosses can be a signal for bottom as well. And we have seen that many, many times before. The fundamentals of Bitcoin has never been better. So don't be scared by this. Be consistent, continue to DCA and accumulate, and let the gains come to you. All right. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.